或遇见
孔子，孔子不见，谓孔子存，孔子实其无也，而往拜之，以叔叔谓孔子也。
I am a junior at Cumberland Valley High School. I'm taking IB Chinese 1, which is my 5th year of taking Chinese, which I started in 7th grade. So last year, my Chinese teacher started giving us Chinese classics to read, and I started our class for about 10 to 15 minutes, and we'd read some chapters, and we started with the first one, and there's 81 in total, and we've slowly been reading more and more. And by reading that, I found my spoken Chinese has improved quite significantly. So before reading the text, I found my spoken Chinese was comparatively weaker to my written Chinese and reading Chinese. So I thought if I continued reading Laotsu Ching on my own, I could further improve my spoken Chinese. And this year I have started coming to the morning reading aloud sessions, which we read Confucius's Yu, which is another Chinese classic, which is the basis of Confucianism. So these are the two texts I'm reading right now, and both have by reading them, I've improved my spoken Chinese, my character recognition, and also when we do look at the background of the text and the meaning of the text, it also improves my understanding of Chinese culture and the values of these different philosophies, which before I only had knowledge really of Western philosophies. So by reading these texts, I gained a new perspective on thinking about life and philosophy.
Would you recommend this method to any other foreign language learners, or even the native speakers, the younger ones to learn?
Yeah,
since you're much older than 13 years old.
Yeah, I think especially if you start reading at a young age, and you practice just a little bit every day, and you slowly improve, it'll help a lot in the long run, because it's not a difficult thing to do, but with a bit of persistence, it has a lot of benefit. So it's not something difficult like learning different grammar structures, or spending hours upon hours studying characters and writing them. But just reading this text, it's fairly easy. So in any language, I think this would be a very effective way of improving one's skills.
Well, I have a question, because from my other students, some of them find reading aloud quite tedious or boring. Do you agree with this? And how would you balance your mood by repeating the same text and over and over and day by day? How did you find the joy out of this reading?
I never really found it to be tedious. I mean, it may seem at first like you're just repeating the same words and you don't really know what they mean at first, but I found it to be meditative after a while, and it really calmed my mind, and that's what helps a lot in the morning. It helps a lot in the morning because when I wake up, I'm not fully alert, but by reading something in the morning and trying to stimulate my brain, when I go to my first classes, then I can think much more clearly, and it's easier to form just talking in general, because in the morning I don't really feel like talking to anyone.
Right.
And people notice that, and so by forcing myself to speak and forcing myself to read, then that helps in my just general, in all parts of my life for the rest of the day. So,
and also I know some students are reluctant to open their mouths and speak foreign language, feel very difficult to them. Do you think this also trains your mouth and the muscles in a certain way?
I think it only trains your mouth in a certain way if you focus on it. So if you sometimes when I'm reading any of the Chinese classics, I realize that I'm being lazy with my mouth movements. So I try to again force myself to articulate and enunciate all the characters, and by that then I can focus on the tones, because that was a weakness I had before.
Right.
But by focusing on that, and since you're reading such large volumes of text and you have so many different characters, and by doing it repetitively, then that improves.
And we're also in a very fast speed.
Yeah.
Almost like the native speakers.
It translates over to when you're doing conversations, because it's the same general premise. Even though you're not saying the same things, it's the same tones, the same characters, and they're just commonly used characters. So, and it's the flow of the language, because every language has its own style. So by learning, I can learn that through the text.
Okay, I have one question, maybe the last one. How do you feel, like since at the beginning I already told the class, I say I'm not going to explain the meaning to you. Does that make you discourage you to read more, or on the other way kind of encourage you trying to find out the meaning if I'm familiar with the text?
Well, yeah, I definitely didn't understand any of the meaning of the text. Like, I know someone, our native Chinese speaker in our class, he even said, like, it's very difficult to understand even if you know the language very well.
Right.
So it didn't really discourage me. I actually, like, motivated me to, like, do my own research, look at it online, find other like texts. And so I thought it was really interesting because I looked at the different chapters and what they meant. And even though it may seem a bit vague, other people have looked at this before, and you can ask them, and they can explain it to you. And I thought it was really interesting, and all the different.
Now you can connect to the authentic text and have a better, and of course you know some individual words already.
So, and then I learned the words slowly. Like there's this one character, which is like I didn't even know what that meant, and it was everywhere in the text.
Right.
But then I looked into it, and I knew it. I've learned what it meant, and now I can use it because.
Become a natural part of your vocabulary.
Yeah.
And I do see the repetition, how does it pay off eventually. So I hope more and more people can realize this simple but effective way of learning. And I'm glad you're one of the pioneers in the program, and hopefully we can have more people enjoying this.
Yeah, because I hope it goes well and grows, and more people want to do it, because I think it's a great program that you have.
We can easily adopt into the other foreign languages, including English as well. Thank you very much.